Okay, welcome back to our second video. Essentially, before we get into the themes, you'll recall in the last video that I talked about this class being divided into 12 themes. Remember that this class is about constructing a worldview, a Christian worldview, and basically as I teach this, and as you go through this course, we're going to approach a Christian worldview through 12 themes. So essentially, before we get into the 12 themes, so the next video, for instance, will be theme number 1. Before we get into that, I want to talk about the first essay that you are reading and the first critique. So this next go-round in your class, you're going to read an essay called So What? This essay is written by me, and it is an attempt to try to understand what we're doing as we approach the themes and as we talk about a Judeo-Christian worldview. And so essentially, I want you to read this essay, and then you will write a 2-page critique, and you're going to get used to this. Through the course of this class, you're going to write 8 critiques. So you'll read a number of essays in the workbook, and then you'll write a 2-page critique. Notice that we do have a rubric for you on Blackboard on how to write these critiques, and we also have a spot for you there where you can learn how to submit your critiques. Please do not email your critiques to your instructors. We have it planned out very easily for you, so that you can do everything on Blackboard. And so what you will do is you'll read the essay in the workbook, and then usually we have discussion questions at the end of that chapter. We may have you looking up a website. All of that will be in your workbook, so make sure you do have that workbook. It's simply Foundations of Christian Thought and Practice. And after you read the essay and look at the discussion questions, then we want you to write your critique. And so this is kind of how the whole course is set up. As we go through the course, you'll read an essay, look at the questions, the discussion questions, and answer those, and then feel free to incorporate those into your critique. And then you'll write that critique. Again, there's a rubric that you can look at, and then you'll submit your critique online to your instructor. All right, so in particular for this part of the class, I want you to read the essay, So What? And I want you to think about these issues before you get ready to read that essay. What I'm trying to do in this essay is really try to answer the question, so what in relationship to a Christian worldview? And you will notice that as you read this essay, I'm really interacting with 2015. I'm trying to interact with what is called the millennial generation. Now, I understand that everyone watching this video is not a millennial, and then even that is controversial, so I'm not trying to stereotype anyone here. But we're trying to understand a Christian worldview in 2015, not 1997, not 1970s, and this is very important. And so what I'm trying to grapple with in this essay that I have written that I want you to think about is the whole idea of if we believe in truth, if we say that we believe in truth, and here I'm talking about biblical truth and theological truth. If we believe in truth, then so what? Does it make a difference? And so even as we begin this class, I've written this essay because I want you to think, and I want you to begin to think critically. And if this kind of shakes your world a little bit, I've intended it to shake your world a little bit. There are a lot of people who believe, and there are a lot of people who make great claims to their worldview, but can you back it up? And then secondly, does it even matter? So the last thing that I want you to do as you go through this course is go through the 12 themes and be a good, dutiful student who eventually writes a very nice Judeo-Christian worldview at the end of this class, and then to, if you will, put it aside for the rest of your life. One of my major convictions is that biblical truth, truth that is Christian, should speak to our lives. And in many ways, I want you to think about this as we go through this semester. As I teach certain things and as you read certain things, just because it's true doesn't mean it's relevant. Now, that's very important. Let me say that again. Just because something is true doesn't mean it is relevant. And here at King University, yes, we want you to know what is true. And we want you to know certain facts. And so you'll notice this week, as you get ready to read this essay, I have you going through a PowerPoint that is an introduction to the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, and an introduction to certain facts that are important, like 586 is the exile for the Judeans. So we want you to know the facts. We want you to know certain truths. But then when you leave this class and as you attend King, we hope that this truth speaks to your life. We hope that this truth answers the question, so what? So for instance, the Babylonians defeated Jerusalem, the Judeans in Jerusalem in 586 BCE. All right, here's the question. So what? What difference does it make? And I'm going to argue that it makes a great deal of difference. And so when we read the Hebrew Bible, when we read the Old Testament, if we don't understand the significance of 586, and here are a people who believed in God, they believed in Yahweh, and all of a sudden they lose everything. They lose their temple. They lose their city, and they lose their land, and they're taken back to, they're taken to Babylon. Now, think about this. What a problem that would be. In many regards, it would be so easy, and hear me within the right context, it would be so easy. They lose their city, they lose their temple, they lose their land, therefore they lose their God. And so in the Hebrew Bible, the whole Hebrew Bible really revolves around this date of 586. And so we think it's very important that you know these details. Again, going to King, we want you to be informed and educated. And we also want you to understand that there's a reason why you're learning this fact. There's a reason why you're learning this truth. And so even as we begin, I want you to begin to think critically, to write critically. If you learn a fact this semester, I want you to be able to hopefully answer the question, so what? As you hear me on videos and screencast, and you do some of the reading of the workbook, I want you to be able to give me that question back, so what? Because it is our passionate belief that truth speaks to our lives. Truth speaks to the human condition, and you'll hear me talk a lot about that this semester. And so this essay is a beginning to address the question, so what? Truth that is relevant.